So now, having spoken about the future simple tense, we need to move on to discussing the future continuous tense in English. So first, let's look at some of the ways that we construct the future continuous tense by looking at Table 4. To make an affirmative sentence using the future continuous tense, you say simply I, he, she, it, you, we, and they. Again, all forms are the same, no matter who you're talking about. Will be watching, or will be doing, or will be swimming. Will be combined with the present participle, just like in every other continuous tense. For example, I will be watching TV at 5 o'clock tomorrow. To make a negative sentence using the future continuous tense, all you do is add not after will, just like you do in future simple. I will not be watching TV at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Or they will not be watching TV at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Similarly, to make an interrogative sentence, again, just like in future simple, you simply take will and move it to the front. Will you be watching TV at 5 o'clock tomorrow? Or will they be watching TV at 5 o'clock tomorrow? And just like in every other continuous tense, short answers, yes, I will, yes, they will, for positive, and for negative, no, they won't. And remember that it's won't, not something else. Signal words for the future continuous tense include phrases like this time next week, or this time tomorrow, as well as phrases such as at 2 o'clock tomorrow and in 2016. So now let's examine some cases of usage of the future continuous tense. I can say, for example, at 5 o'clock tomorrow, I will be arriving in Japan, or we will be waiting outside the station. Here, I'm using this to express actions that will be in progress at a specific known time. We will be going tomorrow at 5 o'clock, or we will be waiting outside whenever you are trying to find us. We can also use the future continuous tense when we're talking about actions that will definitely happen as the result of a routine. For example, at this time tomorrow, I'll be going to school. Or this time tomorrow, I'll be checking my mailbox. Because these events happen every day, and because I can rely on them to happen, I can use the future continuous tense to express them. But now, let's move from the future continuous tense into the future perfect tense. So looking at Table 5, you will see some forms of the future perfect tense in English. To form the affirmative in the future perfect, you simply add the phrase have after will with the past participle of the main verb. And just like in every other future tense, it does not change depending on who you are talking about. I, you, we, they, he, she, and it all will use the same structure. For example, I will have delivered the goods by 5 p.m. Just like in every other future tense as well, to make the negative, you simply add not after the word will. For example, they will not have the goods delivered by 5 p.m. And again, just like every other future tense, to make a question or an interrogative sentence, you simply move will to the front of the sentence. Like in the phrase, will they have the goods delivered by 5 p.m.? And answering these phrases is even easier because just like in every other future tense, you can just say, yes, I will, for a positive answer, or yes, they will, yes, we will. And for a negative answer, no, we won't, no, you won't, No, it won't. Some signal words for the future perfect tense include the phrases by 5 o'clock tomorrow, or by that time, or by then, as well as the phrases till or until. And some examples using these would be by 2 p.m. tomorrow, they will have delivered all of the information. Or the house will have been finished by the 31st of March, 2016. Here, I'm talking about actions which will have been completed by a certain point in the future. In this case, 2 p.m. tomorrow or the 31st of March. So now let's move on from discussing the future perfect to the future perfect continuous tense. And let's examine some of the ways that this is formed by looking at Table 6. To form an affirmative sentence using the future perfect continuous tense, just like in future perfect, you will say will have, except we need a little bit extra. Here we will say will have been with the present participle, the ing form of the verb. And once again, this will not change depending on who or what you are talking about. For example, I will have been living abroad for already 10 years, or they will have already been living abroad for 10 years. To form a negative sentence, again, you just add not after the word will. And don't worry because we have a few more words in our sentences now. The negative is still the same, simply will not. For example, you will not have been living abroad for 10 years. Or she will not have been living abroad for 10 years. And again, in the interrogative sentence, you just put will at the front. Will you have been living abroad for 10 years already? Will they have been living abroad for 10 years already? Don't let the number of words in the sentence confuse you or trick you or scare you. It's all the same. And even easier. For short answers, all you have to say again are yes, I will, or for negative answers, no, I won't. So now let's examine some cases of usage of the future perfect continuous tense. In the first example, by next week, Suzanne will have been teaching English for 10 years. Or, next month, we will have been living abroad for 20 years. Here, we're using the future perfect continuous tense to stress the duration of an action up to a certain point in the future. They will have been doing it at a certain time. So that's all for the grammatical means to express the future, but we also have some lexical ways of talking about the future. For example, to be with the infinitive, as in the example, the president is to visit the USA next week. Here, I'm talking about official plans or official arrangements which have already been made and will certainly happen. We also have the phrase, to be about to do something with the infinitive, as in the phrase, he is about to leave. He will leave very soon in the future. And finally, to be due to with the infinitive. For example, the train is due to arrive in 10 minutes. Here, due to is according to a specific schedule or timetable. Because I have a schedule which tells me when all of the trains arrive, I know that the train is due to arrive in 10 minutes. And finally, to be sure or certain or bound to with the infinitive. For example, Sue is bound to visit Helen later. Here I'm discussing the intention, but it's a very strong intention. It's a sure plan that has already been made. She is bound to do it. I almost know that she will. So, to wrap everything up, today we've discussed several means of expressing the future. The future simple, future continuous, future perfect continuous tenses, as well as a few lexical means of expressing the future: to be, with a few extra verbs or a few extra adverbs, and to be going to. Now, it's going to be very important that you review all of the tables contained in this lesson because they'll really help you master the material. And I think that's all for today. I'll see you next time.